What is going on? My song is over. It's time to live stream. Are you guys ready? It's good to see some of you guys filtering into the chat. I'm still getting set up a little bit. I better take off this live stream starting soon because we have started. We are live. It's good to see you guys. Hold on. My character's not talking. Hold on. Technical difficulties. Let's try this. Oh, my mouth is moving. All right, cool. We got this. This is week 2. I did a test live stream last week just to see how things would go. I'm going to be live streaming today for about an hour. Going to be live streaming Thursday. And then I'm going to be doing it again on Tuesday and Thursday next week. I'm trying to get into this flow of learning Blender. And I'm also seeing how it goes like on a live stream. If this is just too chaotic of a way for me to learn or if this will work out. So I'm kind of excited here. And yeah, so what you see in front of you is my Blender file. I have a video coming out. I think I'm shooting to post it live on Friday morning. So probably a little earlier than this time, but on Friday. And it's all about how I use Blender and Procreate together. So it's a big long art tutorial. It's about a half hour long. So I think it might be my longest video I've ever made. And yeah, and I'm prepping for the next video. And in order to do that, I have to learn more about Blender. So that is what we're doing today. Excuse me. I drank a big Diet Pepsi before I came on. I did not think this through, so I'm burping a little bit. I'm sorry. All right. So I am learning Grease Pencil. And if you're not familiar with what Grease Pencil is, it's a drawing application inside of Blender. So basically, it's a tool inside of Blender. But it basically turns Blender into a full-blown drawing program. And so I'm trying to figure out how the best way to do this is. So I think I'm just going to create a new file. I'm not going to work from my old file. I'm going to say, do not save that thing. And the first thing I'm going to do, let's get rid of this cube. I want to import my image because we're going to be working from a sketch like we would in any drawing program. Oops, that didn't work right. Let's scale this down. Let me see if I can remember how to add an image. Add image. I'm going to use it as a reference. And let's see. That's my documents. I don't need that. That's my downloads. Where is my Dropbox folder? Oh gosh, I'm going to have to search for this. Hold on a second. Oh, this is fun. I'm not ready. I thought it would open where I left it off. Where is Dropbox? I found you. Okay. Animation file. Season 2. Blender to Procreate. Assets? Yes. And now I'm going to look for my phone booth sketch layer. Look at that. It added it in Blender. Cool. We are good. So let me zoom in here. And this is the sketch we're working from. So, if you were here last week, you probably saw me start this. And what I did is I start some of my illustrations in Blender and I rough out like the 3D objects. And this is great for like getting the perspective down and that sort of thing. And I just like Blender. I like making 3D things, so it's kind of neat. And then I add a lot of sketches and organic things to that drawing. And I've been using Blender and then taking it into Photoshop or taking it into Procreate or taking it into Clip Studio. But everybody's been telling me, hey, you could do all of this in Blender. And so that's what I'm setting out to learn. So if you have any questions as we go, throw them in the chat. I'm going to kind of bounce between learning and reading the chat, seeing how you guys are doing. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit, see what y'all are saying. Let's see. This will be one of Brad's servers, a community for artists, friends, learn a lot. I'm kind of jumping into the middle of the conversation. Are you guys talking about like setting up a Discord server or something? Oh yeah. I'm also on the Shrimpy Cord. Should we create a Discord server for Brad? I used to have a Discord server. I was bad about moderating it. I'm not a good Discord moderator. If someone else wants to do it for me, I'll gladly let you. But I realized that I just don't have time to kind of jump in there all the time and make sure on a day-to-day basis moderate it and that sort of thing. My head's getting big. Hold on, let me recalibrate that. There we go. Let's see. Hey, Brad. That will be so cool if you're checking chat. I've messaged you Trixon. Cool. You guys are talking to each other. That's perfect. You guys can manage it. Hey, keep me in the loop. I have an email address attached to, if you go to my profile on my YouTube page. I do check that a few times a day. So if you get it set up and you want to do that, go ahead and email me, just so I know where it's at. So that would be cool. That would be cool. All right. So we are in Blender. I am just kind of giving you an idea. I've imported this image and now I'm looking at it. So just like any other drawing program, I'm going to go to object mode. Wait, what's going on? How come it won't let me out of object mode? Here, let's try this. First, I think I have to Shift A to add a grease pencil thing. I'm going to say blank. And I'm drawing, it's kind of like when I add a grease pencil object, it's kind of like adding a layer. And once you add a layer, you have something to draw on. I think that's a good way of describing it. So now I can go, oops, object mode. I now have draw mode. Yes. And now I can't, hold on, I can zoom in with my mouse. I can't zoom in with my pen, so I kind of have to jump between the two. And let's see if this works. Oh yeah, we are drawing lines. So this still looks like Blender. It's kind of complicated. Up here I have my radius. Let's go ahead and decrease that size. Define the line size that I'm looking for. Pressure's on or off. Let's try 0.01. Let's see what kind of pencil size that gives me. That's actually what I'm looking for. Cool. I feel like zooming in more. How do I zoom in with my pen? I can't. I have to use my mouse wheel. There we go. Now let's make some line art here. Let's see where this takes us. So what kind of stuff would you guys do on a Discord server? I sound like such an old man here. What is this Discord you speak of? I used to have one on my old channel, and I think I mentioned this before. I just was really bad at moderating it because I didn't jump in there every day. Didn't quite have time to really keep tracks of the comings and goings of people. Someone did ask me when I said I was going to be live streaming if I'd be live streaming here on YouTube or on Discord. And YouTube makes sense for me because this is where everybody is. And this is where people are used to seeing me. So that's what I decided to do. Draw in some of my leaves. There we go. Get the tree in there. Alright. So this is one of my very first grease pencil illustrations. So far, so good. It's looking alright. Actually, I'm kind of curious. So this is where it gets interesting. If I pivot, okay, so yeah, that is drawing me in 3D. I'm gonna go and let's turn off our drawing. It's hard to see because Blender has a dark background, but yeah, okay. I'm kind of digging this. I'm really kind of digging this. All right, let's keep going. Let's see where this takes us. I want to draw on the x-axis. I think what was throwing me last week when I was playing with this stuff was that I was having a hard time drawing in 3D. That and I didn't have a drawing tablet hooked up. What electronic tools do you use to draw? I'm looking to buy and start learning. Pencil and paper is just not for me. So I think the easiest thing to start on is like an iPad or an Android tablet. I think those are just the easiest. What I'm using here is this is like a 16-inch XP Pen tablet. I've reviewed a lot of these things over the years. This one's pretty good. I like this one because it fits under my desk. I just tested a 16-inch Wacom one that they just came out with, which was really awesome. But this one fits better. Also, Wacom wants me to send that one back, so I haven't hooked it up as my full-time drawing tablet yet. It's this XP Pen. It seems to be working pretty well. I got this last summer. I think it's the XP Pen Artist Pro 16, I think is the name of this. Gen 3. I don't remember what gen. If it's Gen 3 or Gen 2. But it's the one that came out about a year ago. It's working pretty well for me. We've created Brad's server. Yay! All right, you guys are quick. I'm impressed. This is good stuff. So the thing that's kind of getting me right now about this thing, actually, I have an idea. I have all sorts of ideas. I'm going to underdraw this. I'm going to draw stuff that goes like it's underneath the phone booth, because eventually I'm going to be moving this into 3D, and I think that makes sense. There we go. Because the phone booth will be sitting on top of these things, so I have to start thinking about stuff in terms of those layers. It's kind of driving me nuts that I have to use the mouse to move around. All right, let's get the next tree on this side in here. There we go. Get some of my leaves in. Where are my leaves at? Oh, that's not a good line. Let's do that again. Cool. Okay. Do you have such cats? I used to have a cat. How do we add you to the server, Brad? I'll look into it after the stream. Go to my profile here on YouTube, like go to this YouTube page's profile, and then I think there's an About tab, and if you go through there, you should be able to find like my little email address. You could shoot an email to that one. That's probably the best way. Or if you're on Blue Sky or Threads or something like that, sending me a direct link that way, that would work too. I forget my username on Discord. It's a funny name because it wasn't a name I use. It's like Brad hates QR codes or something like that, but I forget exactly what it was. Back in the day, I did hate QR codes. I don't hate them as much anymore. I've come to terms with a QR code. They've found their use. I used to work at ad agencies, and everybody back then, it was like 10 years ago, wanted to throw QR codes on billboards and things like that. And I was like, no one is taking out their phone and scanning a QR code while they're driving their car, people. So yeah, I went through a real anti-QR code phase for a while. Since then, I've gotten used to them. You know, like that's how you log into like stuff on my TV, and Nintendo Switch will throw one at you every so often to find a friend. It works pretty well. All right. So I'm doing the background layers first. Let me get this tree in here. This is kind of fun. I do still have to figure out how to move around better. But in general, this works as a really good drawing program, right? It's doing everything you need it to do. I need to figure out how to color stuff in. That's kind of my next job here in this drawing. Let's throw in some fancy rock lines here like that. Give it a little shape. Make it feel kind of 3D-ish. All right. There we go. Cool. So that's going to be my base layer. So as I scroll around, we can see it in 3D. Let's go over here and turn that off. It's kind of hard to see because that background is kind of the same color as the pen that I'm using there. Love your work. Thank you very much. I'm having fun making videos. Never thought Blender would be 2D, mostly 3D stuff. I know. There's some really awesome stuff being done in Blender that's kind of mixing 2D and 3D. I think it's here. Let me see. I'm going to look for this Grease Pencil. There's some awesome stuff. This is the guy I'm looking for. His name is DDoS. Let's check out his video. that's cool stuff. So that's the sort of thing that I want to do. Look, I come up at the top of the thing when you look for Grease Pencil. How about that? My live stream. I feel famous. Were you into newspaper cartoons? Were you in Teen Brand? I totally was. I think the biggest influence I had, there were two big influences I had back when I was in like school, and one was Calvin and Hobbes. That was just like, it was kind of right around the time it got canceled is when I got into it. But yeah, they used to have, I didn't read them so much in the newspapers, but they had like book compilations that you could get. And I remember going to the library and getting those books out all the time. And the other one that was a huge inspiration for me was a comic book called Bone, because that was like cartoony and funny and that sort of thing. But like it had this like big Lord of the Rings like fantasy story going on. So those are the two big influences. What else did I read? I guess I read other comic strippy type things. I read a lot of like comic books like Batman and X-Men and that sort of thing. Change your button to emulate the mouse on the wheel. I need to do that. Like, I know what you're talking about because I'm zooming in and out, and what I need to do is change one of these buttons to emulate my zoom in, zoom out. That will be super helpful. Hey, notice little Brad's hair isn't moving up top. It's kind of disconnecting. If in Adobe, you can add a pin to the bit where it's disconnecting and even leave a little bounce and animation flare. Yeah, so that was my goal. Oh, when did I turn my camera off? There we go. I can move my head now. No wonder it looks so wonky. So it does still move a little. This is my second character. I made a character like a year ago, and it was cool. I had it so he had, I think it's called a dangle, and I put a dangle line in the hair, and when I moved my head back and forth really fast, like his hair would shoot around, and that was really fun. I really enjoyed. I really thought that was fun to like bounce around my head and make my hair wiggle. I watch your videos. What I like is how you simplify complex terms. Hats off. Thank you very much. That's what I'm trying to do with Blender right now. I'm kind of a self-taught artist, and I'm a self-taught cartoonist. So I'm learning as I go. So this channel started as me just sharing the bare bone basics of what I learned, because one thing I found was that as I was learning, I was jumping into these tutorials, and I was like, oh, this feels like a college level class I've just walked into, and I need like the high school version or the middle school version. And that's kind of what I wanted to create. So, and then I kind of ran out of drawing topics for the basic stuff, and I'm like, okay, let's see what else I can explore. And part of what this channel is for me is a learning experience, is it forces myself to learn things. I did a video earlier this year on drawing hands, and it's part tutorial, like this is how to draw hands, and it's part journey, like this is how I learned how to draw hands, by forcing myself to draw hands over and over and over again. So yeah, that's kind of the goal of the channel. The stream is now learning Blender, so yeah. Your other channel's so fun. I like to see more of your art. It's charming. Thank you. Your cartoons, comics, and animations. Thank you. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, I do have a second channel. It's my main channel, actually, where I review tech. And lately, one of the things I've been doing this year is, hold on, let me create a new grease pencil object because I'm talking and I'm not drawing. What's going on here? I'm going to go, hold on, let me go to X. I'm going to go Shift A. Can I add from this? I don't think I can add from draw mode. Let me go back to object mode. Shift A. I'm going to create a new blank grease pencil object, which will act as another layer. I don't know if it matters where I put it. I'll put it there. Now I'm going to go back to edit mode. No, draw mode. Let's test this out. Yes, that is drawing on the right grease pencil object. I should name these. I'm going to name this grease pencil object trees. I'm going to name this one, whoops, Earth. Sorry, I just bumped the microphone. I'm going to name this vines, because this is the stuff that's going to go on top of the phone booth. Yeah. I'm on vines. And we will zoom in here. I can start drawing vines. There's something about Brad and Shrimpy that makes them stand out. I don't know if I know Shrimpy. Hold on. Google time. Let's see what we got here. So Shrimpy's a YouTuber, I'm assuming. There's a delay here, so I will have answered this question before you guys actually hear it.
This video is brought to you by Skillshare. If you couldn't tell from the theme of my drawings over the last couple months, I've been watching a lot of anime. Okay, that did not sound as cool as it did in my head. But in that time, I've come across some shows with some of the best, most beautiful, detailed and cool animation my eyes have ever seen, and I've never been more inspired in my life. So as an artist who's been drawing traditionally for over 7 years now, I thought to myself, how hard can animating be? Spoiler alert. Animating is extremely hard. But I'm not one to back down from a challenge, so in this video, I'm going to be attempting to produce a fully rendered and epic animation in 7 days with literally zero experience. I have never animated before. What am I getting myself into? But to do that, we're going to need a plan, so without further ado, let's begin. So I started by getting...
I'm gonna have to come back to this. This is really cool. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I love, where it's like, okay, you don't know what you're doing. You're taking on this challenge. You have a little bit of skill, but you kind of have to fill in the gaps. That's awesome. That's good stuff. I'm going to come back to that. Love it. All right. Where was I? I'm good at drawing, but I have more fun drawing silly cartoons. That was what got me into drawing. Yeah, me too. I lost it along the path. I started drawing cartoons again. I kind of did the same thing. I drew a lot of cartoons when I was growing up. And then I got a real big boy job, and then I lost track. And then a few years ago, I got back into it, and it's such a fun hobby. I love your cartoon style, Shane. Thank you very much. His way of teaching just carries you along on how it works and how you can do it yourself. Do you also know Shrimpy? Yeah, I guess I just answered that. You were both fun and quick-witted. Thank you. All right, drawing. Let me go back here. I'm going to draw in some vines, so we'll go back here. I'm going to start adding in some of these leaves first because those go on top of the vine. There we go. And then I'm going to just get that drawn in. Cool. I think I'll add some little detail to the vine, some little like texture lines there. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work in 3D yet. We will find out. Get some of my leaves in there. Cool. What else do I want to do while I'm here? Oh, there's some leaves here on the other side. I'm going to do these while I'm here. There we go. Oh, I keep hitting the spacebar to move, and I keep losing my mouse because I have too many monitors. Hold on. Wrong thing. Yeah, but for next time, when I get off stream, I think I'm gonna set up this pen for the middle click to be my my pan around button. There we go. Some of these overlap because what I picture in my head is that the one of these ink layers is gonna be back behind the phone booth. And these leaves that I'm drawing now are going to be in front of the phone booth. So I'm going to see how that goes. I'm worried that they may shrink in size and it'll be kind of weird looking. But I don't know. Actually, I'm going to save these. I'm not going to do those leaves yet. I got those front leaves. Let's zoom out here. So when I do this in 3D, everything's looking good. All right, so I'm going to turn off that. I'm going to take these front vines. Let's go. I might have to go back to object mode to do this. So if I take these front vines and I move them forward, cool, and I take these back vines and I move them backwards. When I look at them here, they look fine, but when I put them in 3D, Look at that. So this is going to go in front of and behind. Oh, man. Okay. So we're going to see how this works. Let me see what we have. I'm super hyped for the stream. I don't know why. Yeah, it's kind of a chill stream. Not as intense as the videos, which I try to keep like boom, 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 fast paced. Hi, hello, Yakigi. Big fan of the channel, Brad. Thank you very much. I've worked in the animation industry 18 years as previous as a layout artist, but I cannot draw at all. Interesting, and I've been appreciating your stuff. How does that work? So you're a layout artist. Oh, so you're more on like the graphic design side and that sort of thing. That sounds cool. There's a lot about the animation industry I don't know about. I know like storyboarding, and I know like the different jobs and how they're cut up. But yeah, that sounds cool. Are these old comics on your site only comics that are available on the internet? Yeah, I think so right now. I had some comics. That site is actually dying next week. Yeah, I have some old comics. I think I started doing comics online in like 2008 or 2009. And so I have some old comics there. And I had a website where I posted them back in the day. So you might be able to find some on Reddit. I know like The Guardian, the newspapers printed. They have a big archive of my old comics somewhere. I used to do the comics for them. Basically, I was a web designer, UX designer, and I did comics about being a website designer back in the day. Let's see what we got. Super Hack Brothers Archive. So the new Wacom Cintiq 16 or the Huion Canvas 16 Gen 3. So the good news here is they're both fantastic. It depends on how much you want to spend. I love the Wacom. Actually, I like both of those a lot. I think the Wacom 16 is probably about twice what the Canvas 16 Gen 3 is. So that's probably going to sway you. If you do a lot of line art and you want it to be like pixel perfect, actually, I mean, the Huion pen's really good. I think they're both great. It comes down to what you want to spend. There's a lot of artists, professional artists, who kind of came of age with Wacom over the last 10 years or so. They've always used Wacom products. They're familiar with Wacom products. They know it as a brand. I know here in the States, it's a lot easier to get service from Wacom. So if your tablet breaks, some people have bad experiences with their service, but Wacom service is better. And so like a lot of people rely on that sort of thing. And that's where kind of that extra price comes in. I think if you're just learning, spending that much money probably isn't worth it, and going with a Huion product instead is just a better value. But if you really want the Wacom pen and the Wacom brand name, I like their new stuff a lot. I've got, right now I'm working on a review of their 24-inch version, which is just like the 16, just bigger, and it's got touch too. It's way more expensive. It's like $1,500. But their pro version is like $3,000, so it's like half the price. It's a way better deal. It's fantastic to draw on. I think drawing tablets have kind of gotten to the point where it's hard to find a bad one. Huion, XP Pen, Sense Labs, Wacom, all their stuff is really good. So yeah, you can't really go wrong anymore. I also don't know why, but I clicked it immediately when I saw it was going live. Woohoo! Thanks for clicking. This is literally my first stream. Well, I appreciate it. Marvy, I thought I saw the characters and I was like, oh, I can't read that, but then I realized your name is probably Marvy. Sweet. It can be similar sometimes. It's just roughing out and going for a sequence for a sequence. Interesting. Cool. I'm gonna have to look into that. It sounds like a cool job description. 3D layout works at big studios in animation, interpret storyboards into finding out where the sequence will actually take place, doing rough characters, and prop blocking, set dressing, and cameras. Okay, cool. That's super interesting. So, like storyboarding somewhat, like the beginning stages of storyboarding, or once it's boarded, you essentially make timing sense. Yeah, that makes sense. You are all speaking alien language. I don't understand what he said. So we're talking about like this role in animation, and I'm interpreting here, so I might get it wrong. Which is it's kind of like, sounds like it's after storyboarding, but it's kind of before the finished art happens, and it deals with the scene changes and that sort of thing. It sounds pretty cool. Hello, I'm a beginner, and I'm wondering if I should get the Huion SH611. I don't remember which one that is. Hold on. Google, help us. I'm gonna open a new SH611. I think that's one of their standalone drawing tablets. Oh, I've got one of these. Yeah, these are fine. The one thing about these, let's click through so you guys can see it big. Yeah, I reviewed one of these because I remember when they came out with the colors a few years ago. I think I just got the gray one. That pink one is cool though. Maybe I got the light gray. So the thing about learning to draw on one of these, like, they're a great price. It's a great entry point. I totally, like, it's a good product. I personally have a very hard time drawing in one place and then looking at my screen at the same time. It's a skill you have to learn. And my first drawing tablet, which was like, I don't know, 15 years ago, was like this. It was like the Wacom version of this. And it was cool, but it was just so hard to build up that eye-hand coordination to get used to it. And so my first impression when using it was like, oh my gosh, my art stinks. Oh my gosh, this isn't making my art better. This is making my art worse. So that's the one thing I would say, is that anybody who jumps into one of these things is just be ready for that that ramp up, that like learning curve. It's a tough learning curve. It can be a tough learning curve. But once you nail it, you've got it. Like a lot of pros, like in animation studios, in comic books, they use tablets like this. They'll use the Wacom Intuos tablets, and they love them because like they've just become second nature, and drawing like that is just really natural for them. They've matched up that eye-hand coordination. Also, these are more ergonomic than leaning over a screen tablet. Like right now, I'm leaning over this. If I don't do that all day, but if I did it for more than 2 or 3 hours a day, every day, I think my back would hurt. You know, these are much more ergonomic. So yeah, they're pretty good products. Nope, not storyboarding at all. Interpreting the storyboard to essentially set up the files for the animators. Here is a good, not mine, breakdown. You can see the bones of the shot in the layout. I'm going to skip over a few things. Oh, no, we'll come back to that. Where's my mouse? The sound keeps cutting out. Does it? Oh, no. I don't know if there's much I can do about it on my end. Hopefully it clears up for you. But if it keeps happening, maybe I'll restart it. Thanks for that, Brad. I guess my Intuos from like 2000 can retire soon. That's the thing with like some of those Intuos tablets. They last forever. Like so many people in the comments, like you, like whenever I review an Intuos tablet, they'll be like, I still got mine for 15 years ago. Like those things are tanks. They last forever. So that's kind of cool. 2000. That's a long time. Thank you. Thank you, Rajivi, so much for being willing to share your knowledge. I agree. Thank you. I'm learning something new here as we go too. I got tabs pulled up for future research. You opened my eyes for sure. Happy to enlighten. That's funny. Yeah, the term previs was alien to me at first, so I had to be a little chat feed annoying and ask, LOL, sorry chat for the blogs of text. The Intuos tablet lasts forever, but the pens do not. That's true. Also, you got to replace the nibs every so often too. So that's a thing. Many times it's been cheaper just to buy a new tablet than find an older pen. That's a really good point. I think with Wacom's Pro Pen 2, they're keeping that alive a lot longer because the Pro Pen 2 works on their newer tablets, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, I'm got away from my Blender file here. Well, okay, I have these sketches. I think I may have made a mistake, but we will find out in a second. I'm going to go ahead and save this. We're going to call this ERF. Phone booth GP for grease pencil. I may already have a file with that name. I think I can import my old phone booth. So let's try this. Let's go to, is it append? Let's go to append. And phone booth blend. Let's hit append. Oh, okay. So now I have to choose what I want to bring in here. I want to bring in the object. I think I want to bring, or the collection. Collection. Oh, that worked. Oh, that is really the wrong size. All right, so this is a collection. Can I join this? Hold on. Let's see what we got. I want to make this one object. Join. Nope, that did not join it. That's all right. I'm going to select objects and Control J. Will that join them all? I think that did it. Sweet. Okay. I'm going to hit S for scale. We're going to scale this down. Oh boy. I'm going to see how this works. Okay, now this is getting interesting. Let's look at this on my x-axis, and that'll give me a sense of the scale this needs to be. So let's scale it up. And that's how tall I want it to be. Yeah, I want it to kind of rest like that. Okay. This is making sense to me now, kind of. Kind of. Oh no, I gotta rotate this. Hold on. Let's hit R. Hold on. That. There we go, that's in the back. Yeah, so I want these grease pencil things to be directly behind the phone booth. But since I drew this on an angle, here, let's, that's the wrong thing. That's the wrong thing. Interesting. So I drew this on an angle and I drew the stuff around it, and that doesn't quite work. Maybe it will work. Maybe I can make it work. Hold on. This is almost like math. Let's see what we got. Intuos tablets last forever, the pens do not. Yeah, I think I read that one already. No. Do you have this problem too, Brad? I'm a good draftsman, but my cartoons sometimes look like I don't know how to draw at all. Do you have this problem too when you simplify? Yes, and that does happen all the time. Hold on, I was resizing my cartoon head there on screen. What was the question again? Do you have this problem when you simplify? Yeah, I find that I simplify too much, and sometimes my drawings look too simple, and so it's always trying to find that balance between simple and cool artistic things. There we go. Brad, are you also into 3D modeling? Yeah, kind of. I'm just learning Blender, so I'm just getting started at this stuff. I'm not too far deep into it. Yeah, I've been doing basic 3D for a while, and now I'm trying to learn more and deep dive into this stuff. And so that's part of what these streams are, is me trying to figure out, like, can I learn this way? Does this make sense? Speaking of which, I need to rotate this. Somewhere over here, I have settings, which will show me things. There it is. Okay. Let's try this. Dun. I gotta turn off my vine layer for a minute. And that way I can rotate this all I want. Okay, so I'm rotating this. I think it goes that way. I'm trying to make this look like my drawing. That looks like my drawing. Oh my gosh, I think this is working. Okay. Cool. I think this is working. This is good. Now my next step, I think what's hard is for me right now is using pencils and then drawing on top of it, which is kind of what I'm used to, because then when I get into 3D it doesn't work, right? Like, so these vines here aren't really sitting on top of this thing. So I'm going to experiment. We're going to go down and we're going to look at this on the Z angle. I'm going to turn off the vines because that didn't work quite the way I was hoping it would. I'm going to draw. Let's go over to my source image. Do I still have that open? Where's Photoshop? Let's open this up. Let's turn this on. Yeah, so there's all these tiles along the bottom. So I think I'm gonna, instead of trying to draw those in 2D and make them work in 3D, I'm gonna try to draw in 3D. So this is the next experiment here. Let's see. The drawing you did based on Mike Mignola style was fun. That was fun. I've never tried that before, and that turned out surprisingly decent. It was kind of neat to go in there. Oops. I keep turning off my camera. Stop it. Calibrate my head. Let's see. I hope to see more of that kind of content. Thank you. Yeah, that might be a fun thing to do. I did one video where I drew in Todd... I think I redrew one of Todd McFarlane's like Spider-Man images from a while back, from like that I remember from a kid, but I drew it in my style. That was fun. I should do more of those. Last thought before I head out for work: if, like me, you guys aren't financially independent with art and need a big boy job to pay the bills, to then try mixology bartending, art in a cup, and get paid. Oh, okay, that's a cool idea. Cool. All right. So last week. Okay, so first things first, we're in object mode. I'm going to add another grease pencil object, Shift A. I'm going to add a blank. Now my next step is I'm going to draw the tiles on that tile. I hope this works. How did I do that? So I go to draw mode, edit mode, vertex. I'm probably not on right mode. Okay, let's do this again. Shift A. Did it not add the grease pencil object? Blank grease pencil. Oh, it added it in here. I don't want it in here. Let's delete that. Let's drag this out. Oops. It's good enough. I'm gonna rename that tile so I can find it later. And now I will go up to draw mode. Let's draw and see what happens. Okay, that didn't do it. There is a way. Origin to surface. Surface, surface, surface. Let's try this. Try to just draw some stuff here. Will that stick to that surface? That did. Okay. I think that is the trick. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to start sketching in tiles. Actually, let's go to Z. And these tiles are kind of broken up. So some are overlapping, others are wonky. This is kind of fun. All right, let's see what happens when I oh gosh. So I learned something here. So my lines are, when they got, instead of, this makes sense. You see they're going all the way up on that thing. That's because, yeah, I got them too close to the edge. Makes sense. Let's undo all of those. Hey Brad, have you seen the ad for the new Wacom Move Ink Pad 11? I haven't seen the ad, but I did see that it is a thing. And I'm gonna see if Wacom can send me one. If not, I'll probably buy one, and the video will be out later. But I really want to test that. It's basically, for those of you who are wondering, what's the Move Ink Pad 11? It's an Android tablet that Wacom is making, and so there's, in Android, little background, they include the drivers for two different kinds of pens. One of those pens is the Wacom EMR pen. The other pen is like a USI standard pen stylus, right? And so all Android drawing tablets have one of those two pens that they're using. That's the underlying technology. So Samsung's tablets are using the Wacom pen. XP Pen released a tablet, and they're using kind of a variation, or they're hijacking the Wacom drivers in that to get their pen in there. So that's what I'm guessing this is this is like basically an Android tablet with Wacom's stylus, and it'll probably be the same stylus as the S Pen that Samsung has. But I'm still really excited to use it and test it out. It's a really good stylus, by the way. That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. So I'm curious to see what Wacom is doing with that tablet. I became a fanboy when it comes to cartoons and cartoonists. Yeah, me too. Blender is mostly polygon modeling software. Yeah, it's true. They have added some cool stuff to it. They keep adding to it. There's some plugins for that. Yep. My favorite way to use it is to turn on a drawing plane, set the drawing plane to a 3D cursor. Okay. Is there an add-on for Blender to have parametric modeling, aka SolidWorks CAD software? That's a good question. I do not know. I wouldn't be surprised if there is. I usually switch between orthogonal orientation for the plane, but can also set the cursor to match the object orientation. Still be a plane though, be a plane. Yeah. Is the Move Ink Pad different from Move Ink Tablet? Did you review some time ago? Yes. So the Move Ink Tablet is a traditional drawing tablet that attaches to a computer. This one, the Move Ink Pad, is just a straight up Android tablet. From what I can tell, I haven't looked into it too deeply yet, but that's what it looks like to me. So cool. So I did do the drawing to surface thing, which works really well. But since I made this surface one big thing, if a line touches, here, let me go in here and touches and then goes that way, it sticks to the wrong surface. And it doesn't stick to the wrong surface, it's probably sticking to the right surface. So when this goes, you can see that line goes up. Actually, I changed my mind. That is really cool. So I could like have my leaves coming out like that. And when I turn it, that's just going to stick to the surface. That is cool. And I'll add a little line there. That is kind of cool. I can see myself using that. Like any tool, I just need to figure out how to use it and what to use it for. All right. I'm learning. I'm figuring it out. I keep hitting the wrong z-axis. I got this. All right. Oops. I'm going to zoom in. Also, when did my lines become transparent? What did I do? Why did I click on the wrong thing? I think I want... Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, I must have accidentally selected the wrong tool somewhere along the line. That's alright. It's all an experiment. We're all just learning. I'm learning. Let's knock this down to 0.01. I'm not used... I'm going to have to look into if I can make these brushes like in pixel sizes. I'm not used to this whole your radius is set in meters. I don't think about brush sizes in terms of meters. I think of them in terms of pixels or in terms of EMs or that sort of thing. That's too thin. Let's try this again. Maybe at 0.2? Let's see. That's too thick. 0.16. 0.016. There we go. Oh yeah, that's what I'm looking for. And then I can draw in some of my blocks, being careful not to have them overlap too much. I don't know if I like this pen brush yet. It's too, it's hard to get, like, it wants to change size too much. All right, let's see what we got. Hey Brad, since you were experimenting with Grease Pencil in Blender, would you also be interested in testing Feather 3D on the iPad? It seems to be somewhat similar to Grease Pencil in Blender. I think I just saw a video for that. That's really super cool looking, because basically it's like you draw on a plane, and then you can change the orientation in 3D, and then draw on the next plane, and that sort of thing. That looks really sweet. That might be worth checking out, totally. Ooh, my interest has been piqued. Have a nice day, everyone. It is my turn to head out. Thank you for stopping by, Yakiki. Have a great day. You probably left 3 minutes ago. English isn't my native language. What is peak? Piku? I'm not sure. Search paramedic modeling plugin for Blender. You should find it. Yeah, cool. I figured it was probably in there. A face cam would be great. Yeah, right now I've got Cartoon Brad up here. Maybe someday I'll turn on my face. I'll show you how Cartoon Brad works, though, and you can kind of see my face underneath my thing. So I have this set up in Adobe Character Creator, and it's mapped to my face. So, like, if I move, the character moves, and then I just pull all of this over into OBS, and now I have a little talking guy. I love it. I think he's so cute. Do you know the cartoonist? I don't know if I do. Let's search him up. See what he's done. Let's go here. Sorry, Huan. Going away from him. I don't think I've ever seen him. Let's see. Is he... this looks European. Oh, Argentina. I was wrong. He's not European. That's cool. Oh, he passed away in Spain a few years back. This is cool stuff. I want a higher res version of this image. Can I go in there, open a new tab? Let's see what it's got for us. Oh, that's the image we were just looking at. I want to see. I'm fascinated by people who have the patience to draw 8,000 heads with hats for a golf match. That's cool stuff. Very cool. All right, let's see. Back on my drawing here. Get a couple more tiles in. Yeah, like if I wanted these tiles to be 3D, what if I turned off the surface for a section? Origin. And I drew this. This is probably going to be wrong. Oh no, gosh. I don't even know where those strokes are showing up. Nope, that's not going to work. So one of the things that I'm trying to figure out how to do is when I look at these tiles are basically cubes that have kind of overlapped on each other. And I'm trying to figure out how to draw that in 3D because I've got a nice surface thing going here. But yeah, how do I take that to the next level? I also need to figure out, I'm going to go back to object mode. I could have sworn that when I started drawing, these were not transparent. So how did these become transparent? Is there an opacity slider somewhere? I do not know. Let's render this. What happens if I render? That's all right. Let's see. Check out his work. You'll love it. Yes, I do like it. That's pretty cool. That is such a cool thing. Exactly. Yeah. You must be referring to the, like, golf drawing. Cool. Cool. Uh-huh. So the next thing, let's try this. Let's go back to drawing mode. Oh, I have to be on the grease pencil layer before I can go to drawing mode. So let me go to tiles. Let's go from object mode to drawing mode. And one of the things that I think is tricky is that I kind of want to draw some of the lines. That's not going to work. Hold on. I was on origin again. Let's go surface. And I'm going to zoom in really close. And if I want a line right here, I can draw it. And that sticks to the surface pretty well. Actually, I was trying this last week with a mouse and it was hard, but now it actually looks pretty cool. That's kind of what I'm going for. All right, let's keep going. And when it turns the corner, it looks a little wonky, but that's all right. This might be the way that I do this whole thing. There we go. I'm starting to get used to the flow of bouncing between the mouse and the pen. I'm going to just go slowly so I can get the line to look fairly straight. Cool. Draw another line there, draw a line here. Alright, and I think I'm going to draw another line here, just like that. Interesting, that jumped a little. That's not a big deal. Alright, I'm going to, let's go to render mode. Not sure how I feel about that. Let's go to object mode and let's select this. And I'm going to add a material to it. And then I will, where are my materials? There we are. Is this materials? What is this? This is world. That's not materials. Collection, object, modifiers, particles, physics, constraints, view layer, output, render, material. It's the same icon as the world. Let's go ahead and create a new material. There we go. I'm gonna make it red. That's too red. And then how's the black look on that? Not showing up too well. Okay. That's something to play with. Let's see. How did I become a tech YouTuber? What's your priority, your true passion? How about I ask too many questions? No, this is good stuff. Can't you just model the cubes and draw them on top with grease pencil for the line art? I might have to do that. I was hoping just to draw the basics, like get the phone booth in here and draw over that. But yeah, I think as far as getting those tiles right, I might have to model all the tiles separately instead of just sketching them in. I'll have to see. I might be able to like figure it out or just work around it. Part of this is just learning what the program does well, how it works. And then once I kind of can figure that out, then I can say, oh, I want this look, so I'm going to model this. I don't really need this look. I'll just sketch this part in and kind of go from there. So how did I become a tech YouTuber? I kind of fell into it backwards years ago, like 11 years ago. I got a Surface Pro to draw on. I was freelancing at the time. I had a blog on my website. And I would just talk about stuff that I was working on, like, oh, I just finished this website for these people, and I'd write up a thing about it. And I also did some illustration and graphic design for clients, and because mainly they were hiring me to be a UX designer, so I did a lot of client research, I did a lot of project management type stuff. But I wanted them to know, like, hey, I can design a logo too. I can design a web page. I can do illustrations. And so every so often I'd throw stuff on my blog about illustration or about design. And so I got a Surface Pro, which came with a pen. It was one of the first computer tablets with a pen. This was before the Apple Pencil, a full year before the Apple Pencil. And I made a review on it, and it got like 100,000 views. And I was like, wow. So I just kept reviewing what I had. Like, I just kept talking about this tech stuff on YouTube. And then a year later, the Apple Pencil came out. We're coming up on the 10th anniversary of that. The iPad Pro and the Apple Pencil released. And I did a review of that. And that took off, and I had done reviews because people were asking, can't I just draw on an iPad? This is before the Apple Pencil, and I was like, no, it sucks. And I would show like and so I reviewed some of the different styluses that I had tried that were horrible and inaccurate and gross, and they were horrible. And so I reviewed them just basically to show people, like, don't buy these. They're not worth your time. I've spent too much money on them. I reviewed some programs like Procreate before the Apple Pencil came out. Procreate existed, and I reviewed that. And then the Apple Pencil came out, and all of a sudden people were finding these videos that I had done. And so I thought, I'll just keep making videos. And then eventually I became like a YouTuber, and like 5 years later, it was kind of my full-time job, and it has been ever since. So it's slow growth, wasn't planned, it's just kind of an accident. So, hi Plactus, good to see you. I think you have some videos about color theory. Yeah, you think you can learn color theory by digital art? Absolutely. I think it's actually easier to learn color theory via digital art because you can blend things so much faster, and you can kind of like try out different stuff. Like you can immediately lay down one color and go, this needs more contrast. If you do that with markers, if you do that with paint, watercolor, or something like that, the process is just like, oh, you've got to start over. It shows you went too light with your background. I guess you could always make the background darker. But if you make the background too dark, it's hard to go lighter. So the first video you saw of mine was an Affinity video. That sounds about right. I've always been trying to switch away from Adobe and failing. So Affinity, I was a big Affinity fan early on. Excuse me, that was a good time. I still use Affinity. I used it for laying out my comic last summer. I did a comic book last year. That was my side project. I never released it. I don't think I ever will. But it was a fun project to do. Maybe I'll like just post a PDF somewhere sometime. Yeah, so that was it. So it's almost lunchtime here. It is lunchtime here. So I think I am going to be signing off. I would like to thank all of you who kind of came in for this journey. I think what I'm going to be doing next time is I'm going to be following other people's tutorials. I'm going to try that on Thursday. I think I'm going to pick out a tutorial. If there's like a Blender tutorial that you have used or that you thought was really cool, or you just always thought, I would like to see if that really works, shoot that, post that in the comments here, or post this in the chat, and I'll check that out because I'm looking for that. With these streams, part of it is that I'm learning Blender, but also part of it is I don't want them to be boring. I don't want them to be like, oh, he's fumbling through Blender again. So I'm trying to figure out kind of that balance of entertaining live stream with like some educational value kind of thrown in. Are you American? I am. I live in Ohio. I am outside of Cleveland, if you know where that is. It's in the Midwest, easternish kind of part of the country. It's beautiful this time of year. It's pretty cold in the winter though. Do I know when Procreate 5.4 is coming? I don't. I have the beta of it. They let me beta test it. Woohoo! Not a whole lot in there, just a bunch of brushes, but I have my set 6 or 7 brushes that I use, and that's it. So it's cool. It's been fun to play with. Some of the things like this background that I had. This background that I have, this textured thing that you see in the back, that was done with one of the new Procreate brushes. So I do play around with them, but generally I don't use the brushes too much. So nice. I caught your stream. Yes, I'm glad you guys make it. Anyway, I'm going to be signing off. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for chatting with me and making this fun experience. Whenever I hit that button, I'm like, what if no one's there? What if I have to talk to myself for an hour? So I really appreciate it. And hello, Angelos. Sorry I'm logging off, but I'm glad you made it for the end. Whoa, I'm in Ohio, Toledo. Cool. Oh, sweet. Yeah, good Ohio kids. Good to be here. So yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. I'm waving. You can't see me, but I will see you guys on Thursday, and then new video, real video, tutorial video dropping Friday. So keep your eyes open for that. And yeah.